the differences between here and in the kitchen gardens, I did want this to be more formal. And I decided here, because it's the same gradient, but I decided here to actually level the beds. And we bought some bare root box hedging, and it's taken a while to get established because there is a wind pocket here. But we've planted hedging along the back here to hopefully sort of counter that. But they're really sort of taking root now and really filling out, so just keeping on top of feeding and stuff is really important just now. But here I just wanted to mix the ornamental with the practical. So we have asparagus and potatoes. So the outer beds are sort of my crops that I can just pick and cut and things like that. I've got cosmos here, and over there I've got some cauliflowers and leeks. And then in the centre, I haven't planted for like my sort of forever beds, if you like. I'm just trying out what works, because I just want to see what happens with this wind. So we had a really good year with alliums, and we've got sort of the drumstick alliums coming through now, which is sort of a later summer. First year I had snapdragons and sunflowers and just all the colour. It was properly a cut flower garden for that year. Now I'm moving more towards a softer palette. I love lilac and purple and white. I love those softer tones and pinks and sort of smoky colours.
Yes.
Like this sort of dusky pink as well. But I also like to just add just random things as I go. So we've got chives that I really should cut back, but I'd like them.
I'm just leaving this here as well. Like, it's the additional structure and the texture as well that it brings.
And then we have Japanese anemones for sort of, you know, flowers more towards the autumn. Actually, the one thing that doesn't self-seed well is anemones in this garden. Everything else seems to just, you know, multiply. I wish they would multiply. I love them. I love the sort of tall, spiky structure that they have. But time will tell if they just need a couple of years to establish. But yeah, I think once it's got that sort of windbreak that the kitchen garden has, I'd be more inclined to just go more with specimens that I just really want to live there permanently. We've filled in kind of this area as we go, and we've kind of left a tier at the back for sort of a sort of higher tier of planting. And the irises I want to pull forward. And there was a lupin right at the back when I moved in, and you know they've got a really long taproot. So to move that will be quite tricky, but I'm just going to see what happens as time goes on, if I want to leave it there or
and you've got time to kind of like ponder that. You know, you've got to see out the rest of the summer and wait for that for in autumn. And I love the repetition, and that we've got the hydrangeas coming through, and here the Alchemilla mollis down here, Lady's Mantle. I love this lime colour, and I think it picks up really nicely against the these like purple heads here, these purple blooms and flowers, and they're so stunning.
Alliums, these.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just going along the back here is so stunning. And I'm seeing a lot of really healthy foliage. So for a lot of people that worry about slugs and things like that, when a healthy garden will have slugs and all that, but how do you have much trouble with that? So
no, not really. I think there's a balance in this garden that I'm hoping we keep and we can maintain. But we feed the birds constantly, and there is a really large bird population in this garden now, which I'm so thankful for. And I think they, like especially the song thrushes, they generally hop around and tackle your slugs and snails.
And for these borders, do you put a top dressing on or anything like that, or do you kind of leave them be? Do you dig through, or you no dig?
We're not no dig, but we're not fully dig either. I think people have to do what works for their garden space. I mean, if you're gardening on completely clay soil, no dig isn't going to work for you. But in new areas where we're trying to establish new beds, I will try the no dig method of cardboard and mulch and just seeing how I can get that to break down. In this spot, the soil is very different to what it is in other areas of the garden. As you move through our garden, we've got clay in some areas, we've got sand in some areas, and then we've got lovely loamy soil in others. And this is more loamy. We have a lot of stones. And where they just constantly seem to be coming to the surface with the erosion. But we sort of top dress once every 2 years, and we do everywhere. And I like to also do a summer mulch. I haven't done this spot yet, but I will use the Kelpie compost, and I'll mulch around all of the plants, especially those younger ones that just need that real boost to get them going. And it works wonders.
And the Kelpie will have that seaweed that will really help feed as well, just to kind of get them just keep all those nutrients in the soil and just help kind of keep that soil structure really nice and healthy. And then by top dressing as well is kind of letting the garden do its thing without us interfering too much.
But I also think if you're creating really strong plants, they fend for themselves a lot better against slugs and snails and things like that. So, and I'm just trying to lean into the fact that this garden is great at self-seeding, and it's great at giving me free plants. So instead of just trying to fill everything in one go, I'm trying to be patient and get used to the gaps and be fine with it, and use the things that self-seed, like the verbascums here, to fill in where I'm not ready to plant yet. And I'm actually really enjoying that this year.
Letting that structure evolve as well, as you know, because it's going to be different, and then from where it is now, and then in 3 years' time, you know, seeing how all the shrubs and any sub-shrubs, things like that, how they kind of grow and establish themselves, and kind of what shape they take within the border will alter things. So having that ability to have the self-seeders and to move and have that freedom and free plants. I love that, free plants.
I love that,
then gives you a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and if you make mistakes as well and things just don't look cohesive, a whole drift of self-seeded plants can just pull things together. So,
that continuity. That kind of wave.
So this was an overgrown rockery.
Okay.
And we just couldn't keep on top of it. It was quite, it was full of grass. There was sort of random planting, and we just decided that we wanted something a little bit smarter. And again, all of these stones are from around our property, and my husband, he was like, he loves hard landscaping. So he created these steps.
Reusing, recycling, using what's already here. And I think that's brilliant. And I love that because this will, you can always be changing it around.
I love that it's not permanent. But I do have perennials and pots, but there is an element of it like begonias and just annuals. So like I've got an Amesia, the scented vanilla variety, and I absolutely love that in the kitchen garden as well, that scented vanilla. And I'll just change the annuals up if I want to bring in a different sort of colour to it. I really
so you can
enjoy
put numerous displays, and you've got lots of room as well to keep adding to it. I just think it looks absolutely beautiful. It's stunning, and I'm pretty sure the sheep agrees as well. Like he's enjoying it. So, but having again, I just think it looks brilliant, and I love the tiering as well, because then you just get this evolution, and we don't have to worry so much about planting to certain heights and things like that, because it does have those tiers. You can put smaller specimens at the top, and they can still be seen, and they can still flourish.
Exactly. It's just easier to work with as well, because before we were sort of scrambling up the rockery, and now it's steps, and it's all kind of sort of leveled out as much as we wanted it to. And what's really nice is the stones are now taking on that moss, and alpines that obviously were here have actually started to self-seed in between. You can see the birds hopping around in between. And it's just, it makes it more natural. It looks like it's been there for a really long time.
It's a really happy landscape, and you can see that the evolution of it already in a short period of time, essentially in a couple of years, it's already starting to create its own part of the bigger ecosystem. And especially, like you said before, by purposefully planting the bird feeder here. Hello, Mr. Robin.
Hello.
It's just wonderful, and it all works together.
It's fab.
Brilliant.